It's the first Friday of the month, and I'm overexcited actually because we have a great designer, and we're not live from Holland, we're live from the UK. So we got a lot of surprises today. First of all, let me announce the designer. The designer this month is Lizzie Newcombe, number three of the world. So
Hi everyone.
welcome, Lizzie. You're gonna make 6 designs for us.
Yes, I've got 6 designs today. I've got a range of different designs. I'm going to let you see and let you watch along the way to see what we're going to do and what we're going to get up to. But I hope you enjoy it. I've spent the last couple of days or the last week actually working on some really exciting things for you all. So really happy to be here.
Wow, great. And you've got a lovely assistant as well, because John isn't there, but you got another assistant. And there he is. The one and only. So Morgan, wow,
I get
looking
to be with
fantastic.
Lizzie for the day.
It's going to be great fun.
Yeah. So let's dive in. Let's start with the first arrangement. I'm quite curious what you got there. For the people watching, let me know where you're from. We already have Sally in. Sally Hardy is saying, hello, all you magical people from Berkshire, UK. Welcome, Sally. Nice you join us again.
Hi,
We've got from
Sally.
Greece, we've got Dimitris in saying good afternoon from Greece. We've got Kirsten van Dijk in. Hello from the USA. So a lot of people already joining the show. And we all can't wait to see what you're going to make.
Oh, wonderful. So my first design, I wanted to create something a little bit different and something which we could use in demonstrations, but also looking towards the commercial side of floristry too. So even if you have a shop, this might be something that's quite nice to show possibly at Mother's Day or Valentine's Day, or just because, especially if you've got a couple of stems left over from a wedding or another event that you've been doing. But I can also definitely see something like this in a corporate setting, so in a big office or in a reception for a hotel somewhere. And I think the nice thing is with this is that you don't have to include lots of different flowers. So I've got a range of flowers here. I'm actually going to start off with these beautiful rose hips. So this has actually been cut from my parents' garden, or stolen from my parents' garden this morning. But I'm going to include a couple of stems of the rose hips just because I think they give such a beautiful direction. And they also fill up the space quite nicely too. I've got a stunning one here. And I think just by adding something like that is going to create a nice bit of drama in the design. The only problem with these rose hips is that the thorns, awful. But the beauty
Plasters, just in case.
Yeah.
is just incredible. So the nice thing with this style, because I've made the base using wire, so I've taken florist bind wire across the frame, and you'll probably be able to have a look at it later on when we upload some photos. This then creates a base that you can work into, and you can kind of feed the flowers and materials throughout. So not only does it look quite nice, it's quite a nice effect with a different coloured wall as well that I've also threaded in there. It's also got that ability to tie certain floral materials into there. So it's quite nice that it's got more than one use.
I can see there's like some really nice test tubes on there, and they're big. Why have you chosen those test tubes, Lizzie?
I've gone for larger test tubes because they hold more water, and also it allows me to put more than one stem in per test tube. So especially considering if we were using this for a corporate environment, we ideally want something to last maybe about 7 days, ideally. So having the bigger test tubes allow for us to have more water, and therefore the flowers last longer.
Yeah.
So I'm just
And I also see some pipe cleaners around those test tubes as well.
Yes, so I've included some pipe cleaners. I just love this technique. So what I didn't want to happen is I didn't want to create a base and I didn't want it to be quite flat. So to bring out a little bit more dimension, I've created a framework with some pipe cleaners. I've used different shades, so I've got a dusky pink, a pale pink and a little bit of lilac. And the way I've done this is I've actually twisted the pipe cleaners together, something a little bit like this, and it's allowed me to build up a shape which has then been attached onto the framework. And it's something which I love doing because it's really quick to do. It's quite cost effective as well if you're a student or, you know, if you're running a shop or all these other little things that matter to us.
And reusable, is that thing, is it?
Yeah, absolutely, and reusable. I think this technique is just great because I was working in Singapore last month and I was able to make a bridal construction out of this style. I also did a big sort of hat fascinator with the same technique, and now it's been able to be used here within the arrangement. So that's the technique of the pipe cleaners, but not only is it just a nice technique, it also allows me to attach the test tubes into here. So the tubes are attached on the back of the design and they've been tied in with pipe cleaners, but it's nice because it doesn't take up too much visual weight within the design. It all kind of remains quite transparent. So I'm just going to add in some more of these anthuriums.
They've got huge, very long stems, the anthuriums. They're really nice.
Yeah, they're lovely. And I think the colour as well, even though the actual colour palette of the design or the framework itself is very pastel, I'm quite glad I did go for the pop of colour with the anthuriums because it just shows the difference in different colours, harmonies that you can go for, and it also just stands out quite nicely from the frame too. I'm just going to add in some colours now as well. I'm going to twist this to me a little bit so I can get an idea of the placements. Let's go for a couple of colours here. So I've gone for pink colours, but just to help give the design a little bit of movement. Tube. And I think this design is quite nice because you can go for a different range of directions. You can go very asymmetrical if you like, or if you wanted to go more symmetrical, that would also work. It's completely up to you.
It looks like it would be so much fun. It's just a really fun way of designing because I'd imagine every time you did it, you could almost get something different by using different content, by using even the same. It would be just fun to have completely different look with one very fun structure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's so many different opportunities you can do with this, as Morgan just touched base on. You could do, I'm trying to go for more of an asymmetrical placement here. I'm just kind of playing with the different forms and the space and the line direction. But you could also go for a design which is more sort of across the middle here, maybe with more of a dramatic drop. I did something similar to that in Gloucester Cathedral last year with Nafas, and that was also really fun to make. So I'm just going to add in maybe another rose hip just to give it a little bit of drama. And that line just quite nicely breaks up the overall outer shape. Just added a couple more calla lilies.
Maybe you can show us a detail as well, Morgan.
Yeah, sure.
There we go. Now we have some details here. The red anthuriums really pop out. I mean, in the color. I mean, the whole thing together, it's really beautiful. And using the pipe cleaners, it really covers up the test tubes as well. Wow.
I think it was
really impressive
for me as a designer. I didn't want the test tubes to be too dominant, so that's why I've attached the test tubes at the back of the design, because we want the flowers to speak for themselves because they're so beautiful.
Oh, sorry, that was the wrong. There we are
It'd be
again.
going to be a bit of a visual competition between the test tubes and the flowers. So I always, if I can, put the test tubes at the back of the design.
Oh,
Just
it's
add a couple more, I think, and then we are very nearly there.
You're already getting a lot of compliments. Hendra Gauss is saying, "Oh, I love the colors and the transparency." Kirsten van Dijk is saying, "Suspended would be amazing."
Yes.
So it's
And I don't know if you can
amazing
see from
design.
the side on view, it's very much 3D.
Yeah. I mean, the rose hips and also the anthuriums that are really floating.
This one's too beautiful to put aside, so we've actually made a space so you can see it the whole time. It's just look at that backdrop. It's perfect.
It looks like a flower planet.
It does, my goodness. Okay,
Wow,
let's move straight on to the next one for you.
This
Yeah.
piece, I've used the same technique, but I've actually used this on a framework for a hand-tied bouquet. So the technique with the pipe cleaners is exactly the same. And again, I just love the different color harmonies that you can start to introduce with this type of technique and this type of material. And I just love that it has that little bit of movement as well, which I think is really quite nice. So color harmony for this one is going to be a little bit different to what we used on the arrangement. This one I'm going for more pastel color harmonies. I've got these beautiful hydrangeas, and I've had them in the shop for the last couple of weeks because I just think they are so beautiful. I'm going to put the flowers out on the desk first, actually, and then I can.
While you do that, we've got a lot of people in, so I will welcome them as well. We've got Cindy Wilson in saying hi from London, Ontario, Canada. So not the capital of Great Britain, but Canada.
Hi.
We've got Darling Padilla in. I'm Darlene from Italy.
Hi, darling.
We've got Artemio in saying art from Frobisher. We've got Anna in saying hello from Ukraine. Really happy to see Lizzie debuting. That's a difficult word for a Dutch guy. So talented and sweet. We've got Mary in. Hello from Oklahoma, USA. Good morning. Good morning. We've got Anna in. Anna Maria Spedicator. Welcome. We've got Amy in from Estonia. We've got Evelyn in, also from Estonia. We've got Anne Kennedy from the UK. Wow, we've got so many people in already. Jet is in as well from Denmark. We've got Mr. Moses in. He's in Kenya at the moment. Wow. So we've got people from all over the world. Vicky Hees. Let's not forget Vicky. Love the transparent design and the use of pipe cleaners. Vicky in Suffolk, UK. And before we move on to the bouquet, we've got one more. Sula Baltas is saying good morning, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And I'm done talking. I need some water now because we've got so many people in so many reactions. And I'm seeing you're flying with this design as well. So tell us.
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, this design is a hand-tied bouquet, a little bit different from what I usually do. If you know me or if you've worked with me previously, you know that I love the transparent look and wispy garden style with lots of clematis and beautiful materials. This one is a little bit different, and this is more of a compact design, but I wanted to focus mostly on the colour harmonies and the beautiful colours of the spray roses we've got here and the Lizzie Anthus. Which are one of my favourite flowers, and not a coincidence that I'm perhaps have the same name as Lizzie, and I love Lizzie as well. So I'm going to touch on the different colours here and looking towards more of a pastel colour harmony, and we've got this beautiful clematis here, which is lilac, but actually if you look into the centre of it, it's got a hint of burgundy, and I just think that picks up on the darker colours within the hydrangeas. But it's all these little tips and tricks that really help a design come together in terms of the colour harmony and the overall effect. The The hydrangeas, I'm not going to put them too low because they're so stunning and they also create a nice amount of volume as well. I've started to put some of the spray roses in. I'm just going to add a couple more. And the framework I've created is more of like a skirt, really. I just want it to pick up on the colour harmonies and also just give a little bit of movement as the bouquet comes together.
It looks 100 times bigger as well. It's so impressive. Yeah. I can't wait to see this in the look. It's really, really lovely. The colour choices. I think you couldn't have got a better pipe cleaner for that clematis.
It's perfect, isn't it? I love this colour clematis. We use it quite a lot in the shop, actually. My shop is quite like an English country garden style of flower forestry. And my customers love this clematis. It's always really popular. So the clematis for the hydrangeas and the lisianthus, it's quite a commercial design because it would go down a treat with my customers. But I think also when we start looking at the different colour harmonies and the different textures and forms within the design and the little bit of movement you get, that's when we can really start to elevate it into more of a designer piece.
Do you think, so for commercial, do you think, because this wouldn't be what most people would consider to be commercial, but if you're just brave enough to showcase how much talent and how much skill and how different things can be, is that important to you and your customers? Absolutely.
I think it's really important to show that we are florists, but we're so much more than just florists. There's so much innovation into our designs, and the love for the flower and the respect for the growers is such a huge part, which I've learned over the last couple of years. So I started as a florist when I was 15, 16.
So 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I think it was when I started to get involved with competitions, and I really learned more about where the flowers come from and the growers, and the passion you see from the growers is just so inspiring. And I can't tell you how special it is to be able to see these flowers where they're growing, like lisianthus, for example.
So story, you want to part their story and your own story to your customers, and this is the perfect way to do it, isn't
Absolutely. It? Yeah, because I think, well, whenever a customer comes in, and I stock Lux lisianthus quite a lot because I love the varieties, I love the colours, and I think the quality is just incredible. I share that story with the customer, and then they tell their friends, and if they buy a bouquet with clematis in, they tell the story of the clematis. And I think before you know it, you've just started a really special chain of, it's not just a bouquet, it's much more than that.
There's a whole story behind it. Yeah. And people, real people growing real flowers. Of course, with this lisianthus, we all know who grows this one, and we love them. We love them dearly.
Yes, Lucht lisianthus, they've got over 30 different varieties. So there's always the color that you want. We're using some new ones as well today. So the light pink one is Chacona Wedding Pink. It's a beautiful
Lizzie
one.
was very drawn to that. She loved it.
It's just beautiful. I think the colour for wedding, I mean, no hints by the name, but I think for wedding work, it's just stunning. I think for this colour palette, it's beautiful. I was just so excited when I saw it arrive in my shop.
I can imagine. Kirsten van Eyck is asking, what rose are you using? It's the Mimi Eden. It's grown by the Opstal. It's a Dutch small spray roses farm. They got around 20 different varieties. Mimi Eden is one of the most famous one they have. It has a beautiful contrast, a beautiful dark pink in the center. Narcisse, talking about great names, you're called Lizzie. We've got Narcisse here. I would love to follow the artist on Facebook. Please share her page. If you look in the comment, I already put Lizzie's Facebook there, so you can follow Lizzie there to see more of her work and her floral adventures as well, of course.
I'm just finishing up with this design, and I've popped a couple of these gorgeous gerberas in, and it's just to boost the colour harmony a little bit more and take it up another level. It's quite a bold pink, but actually when we look in the centre of these beautiful spray roses, the colour just links it all together really nicely. So I think this one is nearly done.
It's beautiful. You were talking about telling telling the customers about the passion that the growers have about more about products. Does it help you as well getting away from the price discussion? So people asking, it's or saying, it's expensive, or those kind of things.
We don't really have that problem in my shop because I think my customers seem to be happy to pay more for better quality. So especially with the Lizzie, you might pay a little bit more, but actually you get so many heads per stem. And I think actually there's not really any quibbles regarding price because they understand how much goes into it. And they understand, like all the love and the testing that the growers do, and quite often how they support the workers as well. It's just a really fascinating part of the journey. So, but no, it really depends on the customers, I think, and what you're doing. But we don't have too much of a problem with that where we are.
But that's because you're very good. It's almost it's very much ingrained in Lizzie's DNA to really know her product. So therefore she imparts that. So they appreciate it. And I think it's then automatically they know that Lizzie's not just buying any old, she's buying the quality product and people she knows, she trusts, and because of their environmental policy and all sorts of different reasons of why she chooses particular growers. And because she imparts that knowledge, she doesn't then explain, by the way, these are a little bit more expensive. But in some cases, expense, I think, for Lizzie and her customers goes out the window because what she can do with it is the important part to them.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Are you going to use this part, or did you want? Okay, I should go and grab you the other one.
My wonderful assistant.
Wow, it looks amazing, and the compliments are coming in as well. Hendra is saying the Gerbera making it pop. Kirsten is saying, would love to see this free stand. Who knows? Morgan will take some pictures after the show, so maybe we can make a free stand there as well. Artemio is saying the color palette is refreshing to the eyes. And Darling Padilla is saying, I've always thought of Ikebana as the best flower arrangement. This bouquet is marvelous as it is.
Gorgeous, isn't it? We're going to definitely take lots of lovely photos. This won't be hard to get a nice shot of because it is very beautiful. But let me just
thank you very much.
Be her very glamorous assistant and make sure she has a clean table for the next one.
It's quite nice because I think, although commercial, you could give this as a gift for somebody, and you can also sell your skill, especially if you're making a framework. It's an opportunity to upmarket certain elements, but also as a different view on the commercial side of things, you could also perhaps use it as a corporate thing, or you could also use this during competition. So I think that's why I just love this technique.
Gorgeous.
We just mentioned that Morgan will take some pictures. Every month we make a lookbook with all the designs the designer makes. So with the designs that Lizzie made, also with the ingredients, so you know which flowers are in there. If you register on the website, and the link is in the comments now, flowercircus.nl, we will send you the lookbook. So if you follow the link, then you will get the lookbook next week in your email. Caroline Marshall Forster is in as well. Absolutely gorgeous and made by one of UK's best designers. We've got Ireland in as well. Mindy is in saying hi from Ireland, loving the color harmony, looking forward to seeing you at Inspirations and learning new techniques in floral art. So the compliments keep on coming.
I know, well, she's definitely in the right place to be inspired because Lizzie is a very inspirational designer.
So I'm just starting on my next design. This design, I wanted to do something a little bit different rather than bridal and hand ties, which are my two favourite designs. So I thought this time I would do a flower arrangement in flower foam. it's got some commercial possibility. The theme is kind of more like late summer, moving on to harvest festival, that kind of season, which is quite popular in the UK. And my shop is based on a farm. And I thought, well, what better way to reflect it than to use some of the hay that they have on the farm and just do something a little bit interesting with it. But from a commercial point of view, it's quite good because we've sold our skill with making the technique with the hay and some wire. So how I've done this is I've bundled the hay or the straw together. I've then bound it together using florist wire, and that then allows you to mold it to a shape. So I've probably got about 5 or 6 bales of the hay in here, which have been bound together. And it just
5 or 6 bales?
No.
Oh, wow. You've really compressed it.
Yeah, it's a strong woman.
Muscles, beauty, and talent.
5 or 6, I don't know what to call them.
Handfuls?
Handfuls. Yeah, 5 or 6 bits of the hay which I bound together to make a shape. And I'm now going to do a little bit of flower placements, but I'm going to try and be a bit different with this. So in a commercial shop, you might kind of just do your typical focals, such as the roses, and then kind of fill in the gaps in between. This time I'm playing a little bit more with the colours and the forms of the flowers. So I've got this beautiful variety of Lizzie I've got this beautiful one here, and then I've also got the lime green one. But I love it because you can use not only the heads but the buds as well to create a really beautiful colour harmony. So I'm going to do the flower arrangement. I've grouped the different varieties together. So I've got some orange spray roses here, I've got some green Lizzie here, and I've also got a group of this beautiful terracotta variety here as well. I'm just going to continue to put net flowers and Lizzie in this. But I think it's quite good because by the time the hay is on the arrangement, you don't actually need a huge amount of flower.
That's a good thing, yeah. So make it more commercial. Morgan, can we get a close-up? Let me see if we can get the close-up there. Yeah, there we are. Now we can really have a close-up of the hay. We see the orange spray rose Amata from the Opstal. We see the prize-winning Lysianthus, the terracotta from Lucht Lysianthus. It won the prize for the best introduction of all flowers last year during the trade fair in Aalsmeer. And the wonderful thing with the terracotta, but also with the green one, is it's a very, very sturdy flower. It's amazing how sturdy the Lysianthus is, and it has an amazing vase life as well.
I just think the colour is so beautiful for late summer, coming into September, October, that time of year. And I don't know about anybody else, but a lot of my customers seem to celebrate a harvest festival at this time of year, or towards the end of September. So I wanted something which was going to reflect those colour harmonies and the beautiful transition in nature from summer to autumn.
It is really a beautiful. And look at, I mean, it's called terracotta, but how many colors you can see in just one flower? There are so many different colors in it, and it makes it easier to.
Yeah, the terracotta. Look, so even underneath,
It's got
the transition of colour is just so beautiful, and the texture, the shape. It really is one of our favourites. It certainly is one of mine, and I know Lizzie loves it too. But
yeah,
and it lasts so well.
But Lizzie almost needs to love it with her name. So
there you go.
Yeah, I love the colours. So today I've gone for burgundies, lime greens, a little bit of orange to reflect, moving into harvest season or autumn. But as Morgan said, you can actually use so many different colour harmonies with this. This would be beautiful at Christmas with pinks and plums and golds maybe. I've put a couple of candles in this just to show the opportunity of being able to sell it as, again, a different commercial design. You could sell it as a table arrangement and adapt it slightly for Christmas. So I've chosen these colour candles because I just thought that the colour was just perfect for this time of year. But I think there's so many different opportunities and colour ways you can do this design with.
Johan Henderson is saying, great idea for harvest. It's I mean, I love the design. I love the ones that you did before. It's going to be really difficult to say which one is going to be my favorite. Also, knowing already a little bit what's coming up. So, wow.
I think this one is nearly done. I'll just turn it around a little bit so you can see. But I think it's got different potential, lots of different ideas and lots of potential for, you know, throughout the year, different events to experiment with. So this one done.
There you go. Let's get on to the next one. Gorgeous. And remember, people, always be careful where you light your candles. Never leave them unattended.
Jette is asking you, Lizzie, what do you stick the flowers into?
It was a floral foam posy pad underneath. It was the one with the plastic base, so we have them in the shop quite a lot for commercial reasons. And then I built the hay around it, and then I used the flowers to go directly into the foam.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Andra is also adding to the terracotta lisianthus. Terracotta lisianthus color is a wonderful bridge between warm colors, but also in the cooler color scheme. So it's actually perfect in every design. Wow. Now it's time for something different.
Mine design. Again, stolen from my parents' garden. They have these beautiful trees in their garden, and they're called lime trees. So there's a little bit of lime tree branches. There's also some apple blossom trees. But we have, in the country where they live, we have this beautiful lichen or lichen, however you pronounce it. It grows beautifully on the bark. And I just think it's so stunning. We used to live more towards London, and then my parents moved out into the countryside about 10 years ago. But it wasn't until we moved into the countryside that we even noticed things like this. And now it's just so stunning, and I just think nature does things so beautifully. So I've cut them today, and I've put them into a framework, which I'm now going to use to do a hand-tied bouquet. This one's going to be quite colourful. I've got lots of beautiful gerbras coming up. We're going to use them mostly in the design. I've also got some beautiful spray roses.
What's that you're putting on a table right now? That looks interesting as well.
I'm not sure what this is, to be honest. I went out foraging. I went foraging yesterday, and I saw this growing in a crack in the car park. So I thought I'll have that. So I don't know what it is, but it's
maybe someone does. Maybe someone knows.
It's absolutely beautiful. So if anyone has any clues, who knows what it is?
Wow.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah. I mean, is there anything? I hope your parents have a big garden, because otherwise, with your hobby, there's nothing left at the end of the summer.
I don't know if they noticed yesterday. We won't say anything unless they're watching. Sorry, Mum.
Oh, we've got Nicola joining the show as well. Nicola Evans is saying hello.
Hi, Nicola.
So, more and more people coming in. I mean, finding those things in the garden, I mean, that's fantastic, and using it in the designs. I'm a big fan of that. Also, when we are traveling with Flower Circus, we also try to implement things from local nature to just use it in designs.
I think it's great because quite often when I look for things to use in a design, and especially when I look in the garden or in just in nature in general, that's where you find the most interesting elements. And that's such a good little tip.
All the best designers always travel in a car with secateurs.
Yes.
They all do, just in case you're driving and think, that's nice. But remember, don't steal from someone's garden.
Unless it's your parents.
Unless it's her parents.
We've got Farida in as well from Pakistan watching the show. Welcome, Farida.
Hello, hi.
So I'm just going to put some of these beautiful spray roses into the design. I think this might be quite a big hand.
Already, it looks so impressive.
Yeah, I think this sort of style is great. I love this transparency.
You did something quite similar, well, in its transparency in the World Cup, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, this is my...
I think you are very good at it as well, being able to get the most volume with the least amount of flowers. I mean, it really is a skill. It's not an easy thing to master, but you certainly have.
Yeah, it's taken a couple of years. So I first started doing this style when I was training for a competition called World Skills UK. If you haven't heard of World Skills before, it's kind of like the Olympics, but instead of all the different sports, it's lots of different skills. So for example, floristry, hairdressing, bricklaying, and it's aimed for young people. So I think I was 19 when I started. And the training I received from that was just phenomenal. And the skills that you pick up along the way. So this technique was one of the things that I first had to learn when I started the training. And it's definitely taken a while to get used to.
Well, you fell in love with competing from that experience, didn't you?
Yeah, so I travelled to a couple of different places and competed there. And then once that journey had finished, I then opened my shop in 2019, just before COVID actually, which is a bit scary. And then didn't really think I was going to compete again until I can hear Morgan laughing. Until someone said, "Oh, are you going to enter Florist of the Year?" And this was a couple of years ago now, I think 2022. So for those who don't know, if you win Florist of the Year UK, and in that year you then got through to represent the UK at the Interflora World Cup, which was held last year. So I entered Florist of the Year a couple of years ago, thinking, I'll try it, see what happens. Not ever really thinking about the possibility of entering the World Cup. And I was delighted to win it. It was an amazing experience, and then got through to the Interflora World Cup, which was last year. It was a year ago today, I think.
It was, yes, it really was this week, yeah.
So.
And all the way through, she was like, I'll just be happy to be in the top 50. I'd be happy to be in the top 12. And 10 will be great. And then she got to the 5 and she was like, oh my God, I can stop now. And I was like, no.
No, don't stop.
Do this. And number 3, when she was pronounced number 3, I've never seen, it took her about, I think, at least 15 seconds to even register that was her name being said. And then you were gobsmacked, and then you cried.
Sobbed. I think, everyone who's on my team, because we never really thought about the end result, because there was so much to think about in that competition. There was logistics, there was flowers, there was getting the right colour harmony, penalty points, all of this.
A lot to think of, right?
Oh gosh, yeah, it was incredible. I mean, the experience was utterly incredible, but yeah. It was certainly a unique experience, because the amount of organisation.
Would you compete against?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, a year ago she said absolutely no way. So it's getting.
Yeah.
If you want. Yeah.
I mean, you really can. I love the fact that when you started that with this bouquet, the way in which you've laid those branches and connected them, but they're still very much an integral part of the overall design. You can really see the structure as well as the flowers.
Yeah, so the idea with this kind of design is that transparency is key. And we want to be able to see each flower in its own form and the beautiful amount of movement within the design. I was speaking to a lady last year at the World Cup, and I think she was in a flower club, and she said to me that the most important part of a design like this is to be able to imagine a butterfly flying in between flowers. And I just thought, well, that's such a perfect explanation. Yeah. I'm just going to add one more jabber, and then I think we are done with this one.
Wow.
It's quite big.
Can I remove this one for you?
Yes, thank you.
And you are competing a lot. Does it help you in your shop as well, in your daily routine, the competing?
It does, yeah. I mean, obviously it's great for customers and great for advertising. It was a bit of a juggle, in all honesty, running the business last year and trying to give the World Cup everything I possibly had. But I wouldn't change it for the world. And I think actually having that experience in logistics and just getting stuff done at the end of the day, and also, like, even with the varieties of flowers, and I've never had to do such a big flower order. So there's so many different aspects, and although at the time it seemed very stressful, like,
It teaches you lots of skills.
Yeah,
lots of
the
skills.
life skills and the friendships you make along the way, as cheesy as that sounds. My assistant Charlotte, she was incredible, and if I think about our time together last year, it'll probably make me cry because she was just so amazing.
And she's a beautiful person.
Yeah.
Charlotte, if you're watching or you watch this at a later stage, we love you.
You're
amazing.
So, and many other wonderful people behind the scenes as well. It wouldn't have been possible without everyone's help. So, but it was a really magical time of my life. Really magical. So.
Oh, it almost made her cry.
Almost.
She's getting a bit teary.
You get another chance before the end of the show, Morgan.
Yeah. Well, give me another 5 minutes. Because we're almost on. Well, we're going to be on the second to last design shortly. So
yeah, I mean, we're flying.
We've really motored on. But Lizzie is actually going to make a little something special just for socials and for the lookbook afterwards. So keep your eye out for that.
Yeah, I'm
beyond the show.
This is just a really nice, simple, clean, good technique, hand tied, with lots of transparency.
And what I love is that it's done with gerberas. A lot of florists, they don't know what to do with gerberas, or they say a gerbera is a normal flower. I don't think there's a normal flower, really. Every flower is special.
If you're going to show a gerbera, this is definitely a great way of showcasing their beauty. So
yeah, a lot of people are also
scared of them.
Yeah. Temio is saying, I think I'm looking at my favorite now. Kirsten is saying, Lizzie, you clearly know how to that's a great word, to use plant material to create volume. Temio is saying, I love how rustic and bold the bouquet is. We've got Katie in as well, saying, hi from USA, loving the design. And I saw we've got Leah in as well. Good morning, Lizzie, Morgan, and John. Thank you for joining, Leah.
Great.
When she brought this one in, I loved it. This is definitely going to be in a minute a bit of a close-up thing, but I would love, because I want to know, Lizzie, can you just tell me how you've done this? And I'll get the camera and show the close-up. What material you've used and what you've done to it.
So I wanted to do something a little bit different. This is made on a floral foam wreath ring. I think the size is probably approximately 12 inches. I've covered it with clay, and then I've also used a dried poppy seed or poppy head to create this beautiful imprint. on the clay. And because I'm using a bit of dried flowers, again, which have been cut from the garden, I just wanted to reflect that through the design. So what I've tried to do is I've tried to link the base of the design by using the poppy head to create these beautiful imprints. I've tried to link it with the rest of the design. And I've used the clay to cover up most of the foam, because I don't know about anybody else, but when I use a wreath ring, I find that my instinct is to cover all of the foam with flower mass. So whether that's chrysanthemums or something else or moss, but I've tried to limit that because I want the main focus of this arrangement to be up here with the beautiful transparency in the flowers.
Wow. I'm speechless. It looks wonderful already. And while Morgan is quickly getting his phone down, and let's go back to Lizzie and see the design.
So the main focus of this is going to be a little bit asymmetrical. I've got a couple of different dried branches in here, a little bit of height, which you'll be able to see later on when we take some photos against the plain background. If I pop it there, maybe we both can see it a little bit easier. It's going to be more asymmetrical, playing with heights, playing with forms, a little bit of texture as well, and we're going to touch base on the colour too. So the clay was done a couple of days ago. It's already dried. I did the clay first, and then I soaked the floral foam, because once the clay is dry, it shouldn't really become moist again. So I have soaked the foam after that's been done. I'm going to pop some of the flowers in there now. And flower-wise, I've got some beautiful anagasanthes, just because the form is just so beautiful. I love it, and I think the colour is just gorgeous as well. I've got some anagasanthes, so I've got some anthuriums again. I've got these beautiful spray roses too, because I think the colour is just gorgeous.
They look a little bit like garden roses, the garden spray roses, the shape of the spray rose.
They do, yeah, they are just beautiful. And I know if I had these in the shop, they would be snapped up by customers pretty quickly because they are so stunning. And the colour as well, they look red from a distance, but if you actually look at them, they're more of like a hot pink cerise colour.
Yeah. The name of the variety, by the way, is Maroon, for the people who are interested. You can also find it in the lookbook, of course, but just for now, it's Spray Rose Maroon from the Opstal.
I'm going to pop in a couple of anagasanthes. This would also work really well with the green anagasanthes, or you know, the lovely sort of grey colour with the hint of pink in it.
Inside.
Because it's the grey on the clay. Oh, that'd be nice.
You do love colour, don't you? You really think about it. It's really considered.
I love it. I actually used to really struggle with colour when I first started my competition training. But I think I used to see it as a bit of a test, and I couldn't really get used to it with my eyes. But I think the more I've done competitions and the more I've started buying for the shop as well, I've really tried to understand colour a little bit more.
Do you often, or do you ever put something together thinking it's going to work and it doesn't, or vice versa, it won't work, and then you surprise yourself and think, somehow I love it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is that because of customers or you?
I think it's me, because customers tend to be a little bit, I don't want to say bland, but they like the pinks.
Are they either one or the other? They're like really safe, or really way out there, and you think this is never going to work, and then you put it together and think, actually.
Yeah. Our most popular colour harmony in the shop is probably, you know, pinks and greens, or lilacs and greens, and it's all quite almost monochromatic, and then they want to add in a little bit of green. But this time of year is actually quite a good example, because we've got the beautiful hydrangeas in, and that then allows you to explore the colour harmonies a little bit more. Especially like autumn, I always think hot pinks, yellows, golds, like a real sort of lovely blend of autumnal colours.
What's your favourite season, Lizzie?
I can choose. Moment.
I think autumn, yeah.
If it's in a month, it probably won't be autumn. So
okay.
I do love spring as well because of all the pastel colour harmonies.
We're very spoiled because we get to change so often, and then when we see a new variety, it can inspire us, and then the seasons inspire. There's so many reasons why we do what we do and how it changes the way in which we construct and create beautiful pieces of art.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm adding in some of the anthuriums. I'm trying to give this one a little bit of a more of a direction. I always find that when you open a box of anthuriums and you get the one that's got the bent stem, I used to be a bit scared of it because I thought, oh no, I can't use that in bouquets, but now I love it because you can do things like this. Yeah. So let's put him there.
Wow.
Going to add in a couple of the spray roses as well.
I love even the colour of the clay. It's not quite white, it's not really grey, it's kind of in between. It looks great with the stem.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
It's lovely.
What a lovely texture.
And I was thinking earlier as well, actually, if you did want to, give it a little bit more colour on the base, I think you could always paint it maybe with watercolour or something, or just
Oh
a
my
little bit of
goodness.
colour,
Yeah.
more colour.
Or gold leaf, like leaf it of some kind.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah,
Imagine.
stunning.
Oh, I'm going to go and buy some clay after this. This has inspired me.
So you can probably just see how the shape is starting to come together a little bit.
Wow.
I don't want
And
to
I
put
love.
this actually, so I might leave it as that, I think.
Because you did actually make a choice of potentially putting in a little bit of the green, but now, so as you're designing, you've looked and thought, I don't need what I thought I would need. It's kind of like, I'm happy.
Yeah, so to talk you through my thought process, I have actually got a bucket of flowers. I've got some beautiful lime green Lizzie Newcombe. I've also got some pink gerbers, but I'm thinking if I add in the pink, does that then take away the red? And I quite like it just with a limited amount of flowering. So I'm going to leave it as that actually. I don't think it needs the lime green. I think it's quite nice, just very simple, the different tints and tones of reds and golds with the anicasanthus. So I think that one's done.
Yeah, white, gorgeous.
Wow. It's beautiful. Hendra saying my favorite. So, and I really like the different styles you are showing us. And I am really looking forward because I know that there's a show coming up at Tom Brown's where, with Flower Circus, where you will be the designer as well. So, yeah, for everybody who's in the area of London, it's going to be the 10th of
Everybody in the
November.
southeast.
Everybody in the southeast. If somebody wants to fly in to London, there are 4 or 5 airports, so you're more than welcome to come. But next to Tom Brown, we will also be at the Flower Bank, and that's going to be on the 12th of October, if I'm correct, Morgan.
Yes, the 11th and 12th, yeah.
Yeah, and that's with Tiffany van Lenten.
It is, yes, how very exciting. Another one of our amazing, very talented young designers, obviously from the Netherlands, and there's many shows that you can go back and watch with Tiffany, the colorista, as she is known. And yeah, she'll be there. So if you're anywhere in the Midlands or even from the South or want to fly in, definitely make sure you come and see Tiffany because it's a very rare, special treat to see her in the UK. So can't wait.
That'd be a great show for sure.
Yeah.
But
also,
actually, you were sharing the stage with her, weren't you, in Singapore?
Yeah, I was with Tiffany working in Singapore last month now, a month ago, yeah. And she was amazing. So you have to go and see Tiffany's show. Her techniques, her frameworks are beautiful, and her colour, hence colouring.
She's very, very, very good as well. But look at this. Now, I have a question for you. One, can you tell me how you've made this awesome frame? And two, if it's bridal, which I think it is, you've used chrysanthemums.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so not normal to see it in this context. But talk us through that process, please.
So the framework, I've made this using silver aluminium wire. I did also have gold, but I thought because of the cool colour harmony, the whites, the pale pinks, the white feathers, I think it's better to go with a cooler silver wire. So I've twisted up the wire. I've actually done this by hand, but you can also do it by using a drill too. which is
Now we all know what a drill is.
So I made this framework and I just twisted up probably about 4 or 5 long strands of wire. And when I say long, I mean probably about 1.5 meters, because that then allows you to make the framework. So I started here, then I wrapped the wire round, back up, round, because if we want a bride to hold it, it needs to be quite sturdy and it also needs to last for the day as well. I've also thought about the balance as well. So bridal bouquet should be able to rest on a finger because of the balance, and it's doing that. So I've ticked that box, that's good. And I've created a wire mesh underneath the frame.
Can we have a close-up there, Morgan?
Just going to get a camera.
Yes. So look.
So I've put together loads and loads and loads of wire, and this has allowed me to glue directly into the wire frame. And you can see here the handle is also formed of twisted wire, and you can probably see as well just about how the different strands have come out of the handle and they've been taken round and round to help create that overall sort of teardrop shape.
So clever.
Wow, the construction itself is already art.
Isn't it? And just think that once the flowers have gone, if you took the flowers away, you kind of still got. Oh, we can take that one away. Sorry. You know, you've still got an awesome piece of artwork which you can reimagine and reuse. It's very, very clever. And how long did it take you, Lizzie?
To do the framework, I would say probably about an hour, but that is probably because of my competition training as well. I'm just straight on it and
So it's practice makes perfect.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
But I'd say the framework probably took about an hour, but this took about half an hour, 20 minutes, just because I wanted the shape to be perfect. Because the basing, I just think the chrysanthemums are so beautiful, and I know the story of the chrysanthemums as well. Like, the grower is just so lovely, and I wanted to create something really special because in the UK, quite often we see the chrysanthemum and we think perhaps more commercial designs. So I wanted to do something a little bit different, more bridal.
Well, it's very ingrained in our funeral and sympathy ranges, aren't we?
Yes.
And it's lovely to see it in another light.
Yeah, and I just think that they're so beautiful because actually if you look at them, it's not just white, it's actually more of like a hint of cream and pale yellow once they're put together like this. You can probably see later on in the photos as well. So I've built up a little bit of a trail. I've added some peach spray roses, I've added some feathers. I wasn't sure about the feathers, but I've popped them in actually. I think just to give it more of a bridal look and just to take the design a little bit further. So I'm going to add in some more spray roses, and some chrysanthemums as well. But I just love the colour harmony and, you know, the real sort of cool, simple colour harmony, but still looking at the tints and tones of flowers.
So where did you get the feathers from? Was it also your parents' garden? So there's a chicken running around now that's half naked.
They now have a couple of very bald ducks.
So I'm using the Oasis cold glue to glue the flowers in, and you'll see I've left a bit of a stem length on the roses and all the flowers that are going in. That's because it allows me to glue the end, and it helps keep it quite secure in the wire framework. It's just easier to attach it with a little bit of stem length. Because quite often you might feel like cutting the stems flat, but I think it's much easier with a little bit of stem length.
Especially with the wire work as well, because you can kind of almost give it a bit more security, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of, once you put more and more flower into this, the stems start to hold each other together with the glue. So I think it's a nice little trick that I've picked up along the way.
Kirsten's asked, is this a weighty bouquet? I think you could see when she was holding it on one finger, actually, that it's incredibly light. And that's very important, of course, if you're designing something for a bride, because she has to carry it for such a lengthy time of the day, you know, almost the entire day really, because she won't want to put this one down for sure. So to ensure that it's nice and light means that she doesn't have to have like muscles from Brussels. She has to, you know, she can carry it all day with no problem at all. So yes, Kirsten, this one is actually very light in its overall construction.
And I think that's the advantage with sometimes creating a wire framework, because you can remove most of the natural stems, which tend to cause the most weight on a bridal bouquet, I find. So you take off the natural stems and then replace it with the wire, which then helps hugely with the overall weight of the design.
It's an optical illusion. That's why you're a flower magician with Flower Circus, because you're creating optical illusions of these huge, lovely constructions with actually any weight at all.
I'm just adding in some of the beautiful Lizzie buds, because actually, again, bringing it all back to colour. If we look at the colour, the very sort of pale lemon cream colour links nicely with the light lemon up here. It's more of a pale lemon, I'd say. It's like a very sort of cream, isn't it? Cream.
And sometimes does that change? Do you think sometimes that changes depending on what other flowers you put it with? It brings out, you know, more of the lemon, or sometimes more of the cream tones, and it can almost change it.
Yeah, I think so. And it was the same with the other Lysianthus, the terracotta. You know, if you start putting that together with hot pinks, I'm sure it would change the dynamic of the colour scheme.
It's no wonder you're number 3 in the world, because you're very, very talented and modest, by the way.
Unbelievable. I'm flabbergasted with all the beautiful designs you made today, or you are making. Like Morgan already said, chrysanthemums in a wedding bouquet, it's not something you see very often. I had some florists saying Baltica, the flowers are too big, so it's difficult to make something small and nice. But I think you're proving here the total opposite. That this variety from Beyond Chrysant, by the way, also a prize-winning grower. The grower of the year, the floricultural grower of the year. So and number, I think he was in the top 3 of the most sustainable flower growers there as well. So it's I mean, I think you've been there as well, Lizzie, to see it.
Yeah, I went there for the first time in April this year, and to say I was blown away by everything that they stand for and how much they're doing in terms of sustainability, and how they just love the industry and how much they promote florists. And I think the work that they do is just incredible. So that's also why I wanted to do something very special with the chrysanthemums. Because I just think he's
very inspiring, isn't he?
He is, very inspiring.
Wow.
It's actually hard because he's actually very shy and quiet and hardly ever talks, but
for the people who know the grower, once he starts talking, he doesn't stop. That's why he's opening an experience center as well to welcome people who are interested in flowers, to show them around. It will be opened somewhere in the half of November. And I think it's a really nice opportunity to see what's going on in a greenhouse. Not only a chrysanthemum greenhouse, but there's a general talk about what's going on in the greenhouses as well.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
It is. Oh, I think it's just so delicious. Look at that. Let's move that one. Yeah. Look, I mean, I'm sure everyone that's watching in their homes or works, wherever they are, is going to be giving you huge rounds of applause, because it's stunning. I can't believe. I'm so glad that you invited her, John, because she's a real asset to our team. She's a wonderful.
Yeah, she is a keeper, as we say. Thank you so much.
You are going to be in the area. You've got to come and see her in the wholesale, Tom Brown Wholesale. Yeah. So this November.
Yeah, and I want to thank Tom Brown as well for shipping the flowers from Holland to the UK. It's always great to work with them, and great to work with other people who love flowers, like also the growers who send their flowers Beyond Chrysant, Luchtlysianthus, the Opstal. We had some really wonderful flowers, also Florijn with their gerberas. And of course, Morgan, Lizzie, thank you very much. Thank you everybody for watching. I think we have some good news for the upcoming online shows. We've got Maxuto for October. In November, we've got the fresh new world champion from Singapore, Atilira, from Estonia. And in December, we have Tiffany Van Lenten. So we got a great lineup of designers. Hopefully, they can keep up with the high standard you just set for them, Lizzie, because it's really still people are saying it's going to be really hard. The compliments are keep coming in. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you again, Lizzie. Thank you again, Morgan. Hope to see you soon. Maybe live, Tom Brown, or at other wholesale, otherwise online. Thank you for watching.